Good morning, Matt Makins here with Weather 5280. So this weekend storm has looked kind of one of the better ones that we've had recently anyway, even though it's not major. Still waiting on that March big one, but we may be waiting a long time on that as this month is quickly running out on us here. But what are we tracking for this weekend? Now, for some time it's looked pretty good, looked pretty juicy, lots of water with it, but those probabilities have been decreasing the closer we get close to this weekend. So kind of a trend that we've been all too familiar with so far this seasons, but still moisture on the way, and we'll take it. In some cases, it'll be more than what we've picked up so far in total this month. Now, that's not to say we haven't had some snow. Of course, last week we had some snow, and then this morning, Daniel from Fort Collins tweeted out a picture of a little bit of snowfall there in Fort Collins. So we are getting moisture. So it's not to say we've been bone dry, but we have been close. And if you look at how March has been playing out so far, March 1st through the 21st, in terms of percentage of normal, very dry from the divide and east. In some cases, 5% or less of total moisture has fallen for the month. Now, there's some benefits. I mean, the San Juans and parts of the western slope have been quite well with water so far this month, but those of us to the east and over the plains, it's been dismal. Now, the projection for the rest of March, what are we looking at? The trend doesn't really reverse itself. We're still looking at most of the water to be over the western half of the state and the drought areas, if you will, along the Front Range and over the plains. So, what happens this weekend is somewhat critical in terms of kind of saving the month, at least as it appears now, unless something happens late in the month, but at least as it appears now, we need that moisture for this weekend. So, current probabilities for the weekend, we see some low end chances to catch a trace, maybe a tenth of an inch for today on into Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Then Sunday, we see an increase in the chances for some precip. And that's going to be happening Sunday into Monday. Now, the probabilities, as you see now, have decreased recently. The totals have. So it's still not locked in, but as of today, even though we're decreasing the trend in total precip, we're still looking okay for water for this weekend. The problem with this storm, like so many here recently, is how progressive the flow has been. We've had notable troughing over the Pacific and western areas of the country, but a stubborn ridge over the southeast and the south has kind of limited the amount of troughing moving into the Four Corners region. And that would be advantageous for us around the Front Range to get some water, obviously. Now, the next system kind of follows suit. Plenty of troughing off to the west. The system moves over the Great Basin. Into Sunday, it starts to lose a lot of steam, hits the divide, loses steam, not really able to re energize, and then quickly moves off in that progressive or quick flow off to the east. So, from an overall setup, this one, yes, can provide us some moisture, but is it going to be epic in my terms? No, sadly. If nothing changes between now and the weekend, what are we looking at? And we'll use the Euro ensembles, kind of one of the more reliable forecast tools this season, even though these totals are dropping also. But for the West, we're looking at an inch, maybe two, of total precip on the way. For the Front Range and the Eastern Plains, we'll have some areas of a quarter to a half inch. And then farther off to the east of the plains, close to the state line with Nebraska and Kansas, we may see closer to an inch of total water. That would be super valuable, obviously, and nothing to scoff at. But as far as March classically, it doesn't look like a huge snow producer. Snow projections right now are lowest around Fort Collins within a 3, 4, 5, 6 inch range, higher over the Palmer Divide and over the plains. Could be a 4 to 8 incher there. And then obviously the mountains have quite a bit of snowfall. So if we would lock it in right now, it's not a bad storm. Don't get me wrong, I'll be happy with it. However, we haven't locked it in. We have a few days, and the trend is to decrease everything. So, what are we looking at this weekend? Moisture, valuable moisture, but is it enough to buck the trend of March? It is not.